Good morning. You may have heard this story before, but it bears repeating. It's the story of Yossele, the holy miser. When Year 12 go to Poland, they visit the beautiful city of Krakow. They usually spend Shabbat there. And in Krakow, we visit the Jewish cemetery where some really famous Jewish men and women are buried. And there, close to the back of the cemetery, next to a famous rabbi, is a grave of Yossele, the holy miser. And people go and they stop and they pay their respects there at his resting place, and they always place a stone on top of his marker. Yossele, a holy miser. Here's his story. Late 16th century, there lived in Krakow a very important rabbi, Rabbi Yomtov Lipman Heller, that was his name. And in that same town in Krakow, there lived a very rich Jew, Yossele. Yossele had no family, but he had a lot of money. Back then in Krakow, everyone was poor. Everyone was downtrodden. Life was really, really difficult. And Yossele is the only Jewish person who has any money. Yossele the miser. And everyone, all the rabbis in the city, everyone begged Yossele, tried to get him to part with his money to help other people. But no matter how much they begged, no matter how much they asked and they threatened, the answer was always no. Well, as you can imagine, Yossele quickly became an outcast. He had no friends. You see, charity is a real cornerstone of our community. Tzedakah. Kids would throw stones at him in the streets. They would point and they would laugh at him. No one would ever say good Shabbos to him. And before you knew it, they were so desperate for him to give tzedakah, they wouldn't call him up to the Torah. They wouldn't give him any honours in shul. And it still didn't help at all. You see, Yossele was in a position to help, and he did nothing. One day, the Chevra Kadisha, the burial society, are told that Yossele is dying. They go to his house, they go to his bedside, and they say, listen, Yossele, you're dying, you can't take the money with you. Give us 1,000 rubles and we'll bury you. And we'll tell everyone about the charity that you gave, and we'll put a plaque up in shul, and we'll give the money to the poor people who you've neglected for the past 30, 40 years. Leave it to Yossele. Yossele says, no. This week, I can't give you more than 50 rubles. The people were so disgusted. What are you going to do with all this money? Once in your life, they said, give some money to the poor before it's too late. Yossele insists, and he refused to give them more than 50 rubles. And the burial members are so incensed, they're so angry, they said, Yossele, we won't bury you. And they left him there. Yossele said the Shema, and he left this world. He died Sunday night, and no one buried him. Monday, Tuesday passed. Still nothing. Tuesday night, a neighbour thought, well, it's not really fair to Yossele's late family. He didn't really like Yossele. Yossele never helped him. So he decided that together with his son, they took Yossele, they took him to the cemetery. They went to the back where there was an empty plot of ground. They dug a hole. They buried Yossele quickly, put some soil on top. And that was that. No eulogies, no words spoken. 2 people. That was the levaya, that was the funeral that he got. Late Thursday night, Rabbi Heller gets a knock on the door. A poor man's at the door, and the man says, Rabbi, please give me money to buy food for Shabbos. And Rabbi Heller says, okay, with pleasure. Rabbi Heller was an author, he had some money. He says, I'll be glad to, but why tonight? You've never come to me before. The man says, well, I'll tell you, Rabbi, it's strange. For the past 20 years, I can't make a living, but every Thursday night, there was an envelope pushed under my door, and there were 5 rubles left there. Under my broken door, an envelope, every Thursday night. I waited for it this morning. Nothing came. Rabbi, help me out. 5 minutes later, the local school teacher knocks on the rabbi's door and he says, Rabbi Heller, please give me some money to buy food for Shabbos. And Rabbi Heller says, I'll be glad to. I'll be glad to help you out. But please, where were you last week? He says, Rabbi, I'll tell you the truth. I've not been doing too well, but every Thursday morning there were 3 rubles under my door, but not this morning. And within the space of a few hours, hundreds of people came knocking on Rabbi Heller's door, all with similar stories. Each of them spoke of these anonymous envelopes that would come under the door, and they had no idea where it came from. All the rabbis of Krakow are getting together and they're sharing the same story. Out of the woodwork from nowhere, people are coming and asking for money. And they put things together. They realized that now that Yossele is gone, there were no more anonymous envelopes. Yossele, the holy miser. Each of these people recounted and they put the pieces of the puzzle together. They'd gone to Yossele, they'd asked him for money, and Yossele had said no to them. But clearly he'd made a record. Clearly he'd written down all of these requests, and although he said no, he'd gone quietly, secretly to their houses every single week, meticulously, for the rest of his life, ensuring that there was some money for them. Yossele, the holy miser. Rabbi Heller was very broken. Rabbi Heller was so bothered that he had misjudged this person, this Yossele. What am I going to do? Rabbi Heller made the townspeople promise that when he died years later, they would bury him next to this holy man. Yossele went down in history with this legendary name, Yossele, the holy miser. This week, we learn about charity. This week, Parashat Bahar, Parashat Bachakotai, it's the end of a book in the Torah, and we concentrate on giving charity. And Rambam underlines that one of the highest forms of tzedakah is to give money anonymously. And Yossele, the holy miser, is such a legend because he lived his life giving money anonymously to people. So next time we do something kind, next time we think about other people, let's do so for the right reasons, without posting it on social media, without telling anybody. Let's all try and become that holy miser, giving people without any fanfare, without anybody else knowing. Have a wonderful day.